All right, hi. It's a little before 3 on Friday afternoon, and I just thought I'd do a little video here to try to wrap up week 7. First, I guess most importantly, I really enjoyed talking to you this week. The individual phone calls are always sort of a highlight of the course, frankly, because it allows me to get to know you a little bit better, and it gives me a better sense of how the course has gone for you all. And it seems, for the most part, it's gone pretty well. You seem to be ready for your final. We talked about the various parts of the final and how you can do well on it, and in doing so, hopefully, how you can be prepared to become the executive director and leaders in your nonprofits as it relates to financial decision making. We've certainly come a long way since week 1 or 2 when we did the Tri-City school little exercise, that little cash flow based on 4 months of data. Uh, we've progressed way beyond that. Um, we learned about the accounts and we learned about financial statements and we learned about the importance of liquidity both in the midterm part 2 that had to do with monotony and doing the ratios there and seeing how they got themselves into a trap by expanding uh, maybe too quickly and didn't think about their liquidity and their cash reserves. We also had that CTC case study with Ron in the Children's Treatment Center out in Hawaii and how he got himself in a cash flow problem when he didn't realize that the expansion of federal and state contracts would require him to float uh, expenses for a couple of months until he got reimbursed through the state and federal contracts. And then we've certainly moved on from there to think about how you strategically position your organization to be financially successful and to be able to maximize mission. And while we've talked throughout the course about the importance of having your operational strategies and your financial strategies mesh, that certainly was highlighted and punctuated by our readings in Collins and the hedgehog principle about having the intersection between your mission, what you're really good at, and those um, financial um, financial what strengths that can drive money into your organization, and how that you need to have some overlap between the three in order to have your organization really excel and to be able to maximize mission. Um, and this week we talked a little bit about all of those things as it related to the new stage theater, both how and in large measure, how they did everything wrong, both in the financial system and how they organized and did their business, and also in particular um, how they did not coordinate their operational and mission, operational expertise and their mission with any sort of financial strategy and any sort of consideration for what's going to drive money into their organization. Um, so we did all that, and I hope that the New Stage Theater and thinking about it in those ways have helped bring the course together and also prepared you for the final, as I say. Because you have to kind of, we've talked about it ad nauseum maybe, but in the final you have to, right, find out what the story is that the numbers tell in the financial reports, going by line, particularly in the revenue and the expense lines to see what the 5-year trends are, up, down, whatever, um, and level rather, and to do some ratios with the a debt ratio to figure out, are they leveraged too much? Do they have too much debt? Do they have enough liquidity? And then also in terms of operating margin to see, are they profitable? Is that going up? Is it going down? How come? The second piece is then to think a little bit about the organization as a whole, its strengths, its weaknesses, its capacities, operationally, what is it really good at, who are its competitors, and the environment that it's working in. Uh, outside of the zoo, what's going on out there. And if you combine those two stories, then you should be able to develop, or at least logically support, a type of hedgehog concept that has mission, what expertise, and economic engine, and sort of blend together uh, strategies for how the zoo can move forward and maximize its mission, and think about economic engines that can drive money into the organization. That's essentially, again, what the final is all about. Okay? But I do want to just touch back then on week 7 for a moment, because in week 7 we really talked about risk. And risk is merely the consequence of us not knowing what the future holds, right? Um, and because we can't foretell the future, there's inherent risk in the future. There are also obviously wonderful opportunities as well. Um, but in terms of risk, we try to um, anticipate uh, the bads, or anticipate the future, frankly, so that we can have our organization in the best possible place. But because the future is uncertain, we have to make decisions based on incomplete information. And so we had a couple of techniques this week that tried to help us uh, anticipate the future, and or at least put our organization in the best possible place to either weather negative things that might happen in the future, and or to make the opportunities as they might present themselves. And so there were the three tools, if you will, not if you will, but there were three analytical tools that could help us accomplish that goal. Two that we didn't talk about very much, because they're really beyond the scope of this class, was the regression analysis that tries to identify past cause and effect relationships, and then predict about how those cause and effect relationships may play out in the future, and also a cost-benefit analysis, where you try to monetize or put a dollar value on all the cost of a certain decision and all the possible benefits of a decision, and then you just see which comes out on top. Do you have more dollar value of benefits, or more dollar value of the cost of any decision? And you go with the one that has you don't do a decision if it has more costs and benefits, and you go with it, make a decision affirmatively if the benefits are greater than the cost. Okay, and then we had the other third analytical tool, which was the QuickTime analysis. And looking at the assignments, those of you who handed them in, most of you have figured out what's going on. My sense is that maybe some of those of you who have not turned it in yet are having a little difficulty. 2 people said that they were going to be late, but if you're not quite getting it, just get on the phone, right? And the best way to talk about quick analysis in the shorthand is simply to say, sometimes we can decide to do something that's obvious, and we can just do it because it has one outcome, but that outcome is maybe not the best or the worst. But if we take another fork in the road and take a risky choice, then either the best thing can happen or the very worst thing can happen. And so we're torn between the risk that can get us the best and the worst, and taking the sure bet that gives us sort of an intermediate outcome. And so if you're on Let's Make a Deal, you're the contestant, and the show host, game host says, okay, here's $100, or here's $1,000. it's yours. You can go home with it. Do you want to, or do you want to trade it for what's behind door number 1? Now there could be a car back there, or there could be a donkey. Which do you want to choose? And those sorts of dilemmas face us every day if we just stop and think about it a little bit. And so trying to be able to uh, both weigh the probabilities of the best and the worst occurring versus your preference, your relative preferences for the sure intermediate outcome or the best or the worst outcome is a very valuable tool. So I'll leave it there. I'm at 10 minutes, so I think I'm going to stop. But if you do have any problems, right, on the quick analysis assignment or on the final, if you get stuck, give a call and we'll try to work some of it through. But as I said in last week's video, please read and look at the case study early and often, because it is challenging. And it's challenging because the position of the zoo is not obviously great or obviously bad. It's not like obvious on your nose. So it's more like real life, where there's a lot of stuff going on, trying to find the key events is not always easy, and knowing where to go is not always obvious. So take your time, methodically work through it, and you know, show me what you got. That's the wrong way to put it, but show me what you've learned, because I know you've learned a lot. As I said, we've come a long way from the Tri-City to a very challenging case study. So give it your best shot, show me what you got, and I look forward to reading them. And I look forward to talking with any of you if you wish. Okay? There'll be more videos at the end of next week that talk about the case study and talk about the Week 8 material. So I'll see you. Okay? Thanks.